You are watching Apostolic Radio Charlotte.
Just to stay saved. And so you lose any effectiveness you might have. You don't see a harvest. You don't fulfill a calling. You don't work in a purpose because it's taken all your energy just to make it. You know, I was listening to a message on the way to church this morning. I need preaching too. In fact, I might hear more preaching than most of you guys do. And the preacher used the illustration of a flock that flies. The birds fly together. And how birds will, if they don't fly with the flock, their chances of making it to the place they're going to spend winter goes way down without a flock. In fact, in some places, in some species of birds, it's so difficult to try to fly by themselves that they will stay where they are and die if you separate them from the flock because they can't make it. But when they fly in a flock, they array themselves in a manner where they rest. One of them breaks the wind, and the flapping, the aerodynamics of their flapping, they don't just keep themselves up, they keep the goose beside them up in this aerodynamic whirls of air. And they've measured efficiency, and it is 70% harder for the geese to fly as individuals, 70% harder than if they're with other geese, because they give each other rest. And you can even see an individual bird fall from the formation. And this is not me making up a good preaching illustration. This is science. If no other, as they weaken, you can see them, they'll fall out of formation. And if other birds do not drop down to them and fly them back up, in many cases they never get back to the flock, and that's the birds that die on the journey. Other birds, when they drop out of and they're weak, other birds will drop down to them and fly with them and break the wind for them. Fly with them and fly that bird back up into the flock. That's so true. The Lord never sent out individuals. He always sent them two by two. So let's be there for one another. It's a blessing to us all. A few things here. The last 2 weeks, I have encouraged people to send in their preferences as far as our service schedule. Our church over the years have done 2 separate services that were largely attended by pretty much all of us, the Sunday morning and the Sunday evening. For the last year, we've been on 2 Sunday morning services, and I asked for your preference, and I know your preferences now. And I'm still in the mode of trying to make everybody happy. And I'll talk about that in a moment. There's about 60% like our current schedule, and about 40% would like to go back. Reading the reasons why has just been so enlightening to me, and I really realize I need to solicit input more than I do, and the Lord's going to help me to do that. I do think what we're going to do is, starting in September, we'll stay on this schedule for a time, but we'll add the first Sunday night of every month as a rally Sunday night. And we will have this schedule, but that first Sunday night of the month will be a rally Sunday night. And if we have a guest speaker, I'll try to schedule him on that day so he can preach to us twice. And also, it will be a time for us to hear from people in our congregation who are trying to develop in their leadership and in their ministry. And so it will be very rare for me to preach on a Sunday night. It will be much more common for either us to have a guest in, or for some of our preachers that we have among us. We have talented preachers among us, and we also have young men and, yes, with some young ladies who have some speaking ability that need an opportunity to develop that. And so that will be a way where we can make as many people as possible happy. And if that's a disappointment to anyone, I'm kind of sorry. But I'm trying to make as many people as possible happy. That said, I will confess to you that I've been quite convicted this week. And I have been quite challenged in my spirit. And I'm not going to lie, I'm quite upset. Personally, in my own self. Because the Lord convicted me this week and asked me why I was seeking to organize His church for comfort. Why are you trying to structure my church for comfort? Why aren't you structuring it for growth? And so I have erred by asking what you like the best. If that offends you, I'm not even a little sorry. I should have asked, what would be the best for us to grow? And so, I will tell you a point will come in a few months where we will revisit this and we'll ask ourselves, Lord, if the number one thing we cared about was growth, reaching people, what would that look like? And I'll tell you the one thing it would look like. Well, summer's the smallest time for the church. Church average is less in the summer than any other time. And we have room now. We have room. We don't have a ton of room, but we've got some room. Not much. And if we grow, we're already past the rule of thumb. They say at 75% you're supposed to start making more room because people are, we expanded, added 200 seats. We have 450 chairs in here. We're going to add about 30 to 40 more in the future, depending on how we can work it out. 450. We're over 70%. And so there might very well be a day in the future where we start going to 2 Sunday morning services so we can grow. So we have empty rows. Not a life class and a main service, but 2 identical services. You say, oh, I don't like that. I might have to work. I'll need more Sunday school teachers. So you can teach one service and be fed a service. I'll work my band harder. I'll work harder. I preach 3 times a day and every one of them are different. And every day going home I feel a little sorry for myself because that's how I roll. But why are we structuring the church for comfort? Why aren't we organizing for growth? At some point, we're going to have to do that. I mean, look at us. The smallest time of the year, and look around. Yeah, I can see some empty seats here and there. This is the lowest time of the year for church attendance. We're at the end of a construction project, and everybody knows what that's like. I'm just saying, if that is the structure that will allow the church to grow, we ought to commit to it. Because we have a commission upon us. It's a commission. A commission is when someone in authority tells you what you're supposed to do. You've been commissioned to do something. The church has been commissioned to do something. I don't know right now what it will look like. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to solve the Sunday school. We have an amazing Sunday school team. I'll have to sit down with Sister Dela. I'll have to say, how do we do this? We'll have to talk. We'll have to pray. I'll have to sit down with Brother Tommy and say, how do we do? You can tell by now that's a big power couple around here. Have you figured that out yet? That's a power couple. How do we do the ushers? How do we make this work? I have to sit down with Sister Megan. How do we do a band? But are we going to structure the church for comfort? Or are we going to structure the church for growth? Because I believe with everything within me. Sorry, I'm emotional. I hate it. I can't fix me. I would rather try to grow and fail than be comfortable and succeed. You know what that's going to feel like? You may love the 11 o'clock service, say. And I may ask you, will you come to the 9 o'clock service? I need room in the 11 o'clock service. I may come to you and say, I'll be honest with you. When I read emails that talk about their favorite services when there aren't visitors there, it's just for us. I feel like the biggest failure that's ever walked in shoe leather. Good church is not the point of the church. So, I don't know how to do it. And I promise you it'll be uncomfortable. Have you ever been in a house with a bunch of babies? I mean, holy cow. It's a mess. Let me ask you the flip side. Have you ever been in a house with an old, angry, bitter couple? If the Lord will help us, and we need lots of help, we're going to structure for growth. And that means discomfort. And that means a big hot mess. But you know what? There's a chance that God looks down at us and says, those people got it. They got it. Why did you come, Lord? Oh, I came because my favorite time is we sit down with the 12 disciples and we all know each other so well. And we hang out. And one of the risks of churches that are high consecration churches, and we strive to be a high consecration church, is there's nobody as comfortable as the people who share your high consecration. And so we do cell ministry, and you know what it can turn into? It can turn into 10 apostolics. 10 apostolics is not a vineyard. That's a group of people sitting in a room staring at each other. And you know why a lot of us aren't fruitful? We don't have a vineyard. Our friends are in the church. The people we go on vacation with is in the church. Our buddies are in the church. Where's your vineyard? There's no fruit because you don't have a vineyard. Oh Lord, I'm off the reservation. You've got to have a group of people you're working with. You say, well, all my time is taken by the church. Yeah, so we can get together with 12 of us and look at each other. Lord will help us. I've got a lot to learn. We've all got a lot to learn. But the Lord can help us make the church about the Great Commission. That's what the church is about. The Great Commission. And I'll promise you this. I won't make our church services about you feeling guilty. I won't try to guilt you into being involved. Maybe a little bit. That's easy to say and then hard not to do. You know what I'll do? This is what I believe, and this is what the Lord's put in my heart this week and humbled me. I'll just come to you and ask. I need help here. I need help here. And I so believe in your good heart. And I so believe in your ability to perceive the purpose and the commission of the church. I believe I won't have trouble finding people who are willing to help. I don't believe I'll have problems finding people who will say, hey, teach me how to develop a vineyard. Because I'll work with people. Teach me how to make that group. And I don't know at this moment how to do it, but I promise you, I think this is the vision for the church. It has always been the vision. We sometimes go to the left or the right, but this has always been the purpose. This has always been the vision. You say, well, I just want to get together with people and talk about the 70 weeks of Daniel. You know what? There's unchurched people who would be fascinated in getting together and talking about 70 weeks of Daniel. You can use 70 weeks of Daniel to create a vineyard. A group of people you meet with, you talk to about. You see what I'm saying? If the Lord will help us, we'll organize. Not for comfort. Not for what feels best to us. But we'll organize for the commission. And I believe everybody here that will be more than enough. It'll be more than enough. There are churches that seat 500 and run 1,500. There are churches that seat 100 and run 400. We're a church that seats 450. And we run somewhere between 600 and 700. If you count the Spanish church, somewhere it's a sister congregation, but they're their own church. But if you count them, we're a church that seats 450, and we run somewhere between 800 and 900. Let your vision get bigger. I don't have $3 million to go build a building that seats 12 million. I mean, wow, scary. 1,200 people. 1,200 people. You see what I'm saying? We don't even have the structure for that. But I'm saying this. If we will look at what we have and structure for what we have and structure around the Great Commission, I promise you, we will all be reminded of something. There is no joy like being the person who has a vineyard and they work in that vineyard. So, I didn't mean to get in all that. None of that's in my notes. It's just in my heart. And if the Lord will help us, we'll do it. And I believe in your good hearts. And I believe in your vision. And I believe some of you are already worried, well, how will we control it? I don't know. Quit worrying about control and start praying for influence. You don't win people with control. You win people with influence. Well, what if they never climb to the level of biblical insight I have? Do you think your level of biblical insight is necessary for salvation? We're not producing PhDs. We're saving people. We're trying to make it as hard to go to hell in this city as we can. And so I thank you for your spirit. I feel your unity. There's questions, I'm sure, and I'll be honest with you right now, I do not have an answer. I have questions myself. But if we'll structure around the Great Commission, all of these other things will be added. It'll be added out. Well, what about the church core? I promise you, the church core will be fine. Let's all stand. Wednesday night Bible study, 7:30. We are toward the end of a series on Psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. I invite you to be a part of that Wednesday night. If you love the Word of the Lord, Wednesday night is an awesome service for you. And I want to emphasize something. When I ask people, the number one thing I hear when I ask about Wednesday night is they don't have time to get home from work, get cleaned up, turn around and come back to service. And I think I would rather have you come in your work clothes. Okay, I don't want that to be an excuse for not being here on Wednesday night. I would rather you come in your work clothes. In fact, I won't even wear a coat. How about that? I won't wear a coat or a tie. I'm not nervous. I'll show up in jeans if you'll come. I don't even like jeans, and I certainly don't want to wear jeans on the platform. But if you'll come and quit using that as an excuse, I'll wear jeans. I don't want to. In fact, I'm not going to for a while. You're going to have to prove it to me. What's this business about jeans are not comfortable? They're not. Golf clothes are comfortable. Yeah, jeans are not comfortable. It's golf clothes that are comfortable. Anyway, point being, don't use that as an excuse. Grab your kids, go run into McAllister's Deli, but come. Don't use that as an excuse. We're not a prissy church. We play one on TV, but we're really not a prissy church. And we'll be glad for you to come in your work clothes. Just come. Amen? What a move of God we've had here today. Let's praise Him one more time for His presence. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great day in faith. Encourage one another. Fly together. Flap your wings so someone else can fly easier beside you. We love you all. God bless you. Have a great day in faith. God has great things, great things in store for all of us. God bless you.
Thank you for watching Apostolic Radio Charlotte. Come, worship with us.